I'm going to introduce a gentleman. His name is Jerry Walters, and he's been a member of your club for, well, 16 years. No, 13 years, since 2013. He's done demos before on finishing, so he's somebody that we can all go to for hints and help on our finishing projects. He's a gentleman. He's from Sedona, so it's a little bit of a trip for him to get here, but he blesses us once in a while and comes and visits. And then he's going to give us some examples on how to mount burls. It's always been a question in my mind. I look at them and I go, I hate to ruin that, to just do this. So he is going to come up here and he's going to be our savior. He's going to show us how to do all that. And did everybody bring a burl with them? Raise your hand. Come on. A few people did. Good. I brought one. Yeah, I brought one because I expect him to show me what to do. Anyway, let's give Jerry a great hand, would you?
And mounting a burl cap doesn't work real well with a vacuum chuck. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Is this microphone on? I can't tell. Yeah, come on. Oh, pocket. Okay. Well, within reason, I can help you out. But I just want to say, since we have new people here, when I joined the club, I was a new turner. And it was just a fabulous experience because all the members were so helpful, willing to share. Woodturning is such a diverse hobby that we have skilled and expert people in multiple facets of that. So, but today I'm talking, one of the fundamental things you need to have a woodturner is work holding, and I'm going to kind of build up to the finale here, I guess, with the burl caps. I get my notes, but there are lots of different ways of holding wood. The scroll chucks, screw chucks, jam chucks. Between centers. What else do we have? Oh, faceplate rings, and glue blocks. And starting out, the equipment is expensive to acquire, the lathe, the tools, all that. So one of my early things I used was the screw chucks, glue chucks. And most of the stuff I'll end up passing around. I was trying to see what, so I'm going to use this little platform I have here to, okay, you got it. So screw chucks are easy to make out of scrap wood with get the Beal tap for the right size threads on your lathe. And in screw chucks, well, a couple of tips on it. Okay. This one has a little hole in it. I've got a metal rod that can go through the back if I want to center this on a piece that I know where I want to put it, but I don't have it mounted. So that's one tip to do. The other is, most people start off using a tight bond glue or some other type of wood glue. And the issue you kind of have is, okay, when you're done, how do you get it off the block? And you end up having to take your parting tool and go down the side of the block to free it. But one tricks I learned early on is to leave a depression in the middle. So you only need about a 3/4 inch wide ring around there to put your glue on to hold your piece in place. Other reason I like the glue blocks is that I like to work on a lot of things at one time, especially when I was starting out, practicing doing, the inside of the bowl, the outside. And so with the glue block with the screws on, or this one, well, I can either hold it with another set of jaws or or screw it on. Um, you can take the wood off the lathe and put it back on, and it's going to line up pretty well. You won't have much run out. 'Cause the other thing I was just talking, who I was talking to earlier today, is wood moves a lot, even if it's been kiln dried. So a lot of time, most of the time, even with stuff that's kiln dried wood, I'll rough turn it and let it sit a week maybe to finish drying out, so any movement comes out of it. So I'll have multiple projects mounted sitting around waiting to be worked on. So that's what I want to say about that. But the other issue, or not issue, consideration with glue block is what do you use? Do you use epoxy? Do you use tight bond? I know some turners are big fans of using the thick CA glue. I'm not too keen on that one, but so when I started doing all this, people were starting to use hot melt glue, and that was kind of poo-pooed for a number of reasons. I'm not certain why, but I think it could be how you're using it. But I need to, what do I do? Oh. Talk about the tools first. You need a glue gun. It's at least an 80-watt glue gun. The small ones they have for hobby work just aren't hot enough, and it does take a lot of glue. But I do use just the standard hobby grade glue sticks. They're kind of opaque. And I've also get the longer glue sticks. I couldn't find them at my local hardware store initially, so I went online to look for glue sticks in the longer size, and I was amazed at how many different types of glue sticks are out there for different applications. And so this other, whatever that color is, I can't tell, but anyway, this is marketed as, for wood. Well, it works real well for wood, and it doesn't release like the other stuff does. So stick with the simple hobby grade of the glue. So the technique, I'm going to end up sending most of this stuff around. I got to get my I was going to do one sample piece here too. All right, oh, it's right here. Stuck to me. Tough plugs, yeah. Okay, I think I'm good. Gotta let that warm up a bit. Not doing any turning today, just the setup is all on the lathe, so you have to is what I usually do for and the glue blocks, I've been doing a lot of small pieces. That's why I got this size of glue block here, but I've got multiple bigger sizes as well. Okay. Anyway, so, oops. Is my hair straight?
Can you jump up and down?
Because the glue is hard to put down vertically, I just set my piece of wood on and take my pencil and mark where the edge of that glue block is. See if this is warmed up yet. Not quite. Yes. Hello? That better? Okay. Okay. The glue's hot enough. So I just end up putting just a little bead around the perimeter of the my pencil mark. I'll leave that as there. I already have my center marked where I'm going to put it. I can put it on, just put light pressure. But to ensure that this thing's going to stay affixed, I go around like a caulking gun and put a big glob going all the way around. And if you got the hot setting on the glue gun, it will all soak down into the nooks and crannies and give you quite a large surface. I can't see over here. Okay, that one's done. So then you have to wait till it goes on, it's clear. You have to wait till it gets murky again. So we'll take that off. So I'm going to let that sit, and that was just my jumping off point for doing the burls. Because I like working, figured wood and burls, and burl caps were quite intriguing. And I just loved the texture on it, and I didn't want to ruin it with the chuck marks. And you can't use vacuum chucks or any of the other myriad varieties of chucks that are out there. So I decided, well, maybe I can do something with the hot melt glue. So the whole premise behind my technique is that I want a pretty heavy center of mass that's balanced. So that's a combination of the biggest chuck I have with the biggest jaws that I have. And then a glue, I don't know what to call this thing, but it's a laminated 2x4s. This happened to be a glue lam beam from a nearby construction project, a little scrap. And then, because I want something semi-soft, because you have to carve this and shape it to fit with your burl. And so the construction lumber works well for that. But for a good firm grip, I went with a faceplate ring. And then just have to make certain you know how long your screws are, but that's going to give me a very solid grip on there. That's not going to move. So the concept's pretty simple, but it gets kind of fiddly. I don't know how well this shows up to, let me see what's fit on this stand. Okay, because I wanted to leave about a 1-inch rim around the block, but I had to scoop it out. So essentially I just start off by carving a little bowl. I'll take one of these completed ones. And depending on the species of wood you're working with, you can have all sorts of crazy shapes and, well, if you want to see some of the ones brought in, they're really wild. But they're more nubbly or irregular, but nothing's going to fit into a simple dish. So you end up having to do a lot of customizing. And so we're doing the customizing. I use chisels. Rotary burr would be nice. I don't have one. Just cutting saw curves and breaking it up. But it's all done. Mounting this in the chuck. Too many wires. I tried to pre-stage this thing at home. Yes? Did someone have a question?
We have a question.
Since you have the burl and you're always notching for a resting point, would you put a felt liner in there when you have a burl that has knobbies and sharps?
I guess it depends on the extremity of it. I don't know that I'm not resting the burl in the depression I'm making. I'm really supporting it from the side. So, I mean, it could just be a cylinder going down in that's deep enough to clear how much you want to set this in there. And so I end up, shoot. Oh, there it is. Because I've got a 20-inch lathe at home, so I had to kind of guess where this would fit. So anyway, I start by putting it in the chuck, and this one, you can see it's already been carved up. So all of these were made from using this same laminate piece that's just been modified multiple times. I'm trying to find my alignment. Okay, got my alignment marks. So you can see where there's already been cutouts and divots made because the cap itself is more elongated. The other thing I do in mounting these is fiddling with the camber of it, I guess, to figure out where your plane is that you're cutting from. And I don't want to, this one I don't want to cut too thin, so I need to adjust that. So this is the fiddly part. You put it in there, see how you want it to fit, see where it doesn't fit and why it doesn't fit, and you have to start chipping away at the edges to and that works pretty good. But anyhow, so that's, just say that's where I want it. Now I've got these great big gaps in the side. And I have all sorts of, where can I put it? I'll hold them up. Little wooden scraps from flat work projects where I was cutting off bevels. that they just need to be wedge shapes that will fit in to that opening. So I've got different sizes of them. You don't have to have a perfectly tight fit on here. That's the beauty of this. I think my glue's plenty hot, so what I'm going to do is, oops, that was very hot. In fact, my glue gun's stuck to my, so that just gets set in there, glued to the base block, and you can take the glue gun itself then and start filling in the gap in between. I just do a little bit at a time because the glue's pretty runny right now. This gun's extra hot. So anyway, I just fill that in. You can fill in a 1/4-inch gap pretty easily with this. So I just go along the whole piece and see where I can put a little glue in, find a different little wedge piece to go in. Sometimes you have to scoop them out to fit in there. That one's beveled 2 ways, so I can guess the one thing that's need my backup glue stick. Anyway, I was starting to say this works just for Burl without bark on them. You can either take bark off with a pressure washer. Sometimes it breaks off, but this technique wouldn't work with bark. I wouldn't trust the bark to hold. Anyway, it's just a matter of going around and stuffing in other little pieces of wood that you can glue to both faces. It doesn't have to be totally covered.
Hey, Jerry.
Be stingy. What?
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
Just a real quick question. So do you have part ownership in the glue company?
I wish. But the real beauty in all this is how it comes apart. Anyway, I can go on a little longer with that, but we don't need to. Unplug this. Oh, I know I wanted to put some more glue on here. Too many cords. Well, I'm going to pass these other things around here for, because the pieces that are turned, they're ready to be taken off the glue block, and so that's where the magic comes in. And the nice thing about the glue, these blocks started with full size, and I scooped out the wood to put the foot on the little bowls that I was making. But the one is the one I glued up earlier that you can see how it's just full of glue, but you can easily use your gouge to go and remove the excess. Anyhow, the magic of all this, let me get this out of the way. The magic of this is that at least this type of hot melt glue will debond with alcohol, either denatured alcohol or the 91% isopropyl. And so I just use empty CA glue bottles, put the alcohol in it, usually with the dropper tip, and you just soak it around the edges. Yeah, let it sit a little. The glue's sticking to me. And I use some dental picks. Every couple of years I'll ask my hygienist if she's got some old ones that I have. Helps that I gave her a bowl. Anyhow, you kind of soak it, let it sit for a little bit, and then you need to get under the edge of the glue. And once you get that edge up, you work more glue in there, and it just peels off like magic.
Jerry, one quick question.
Yes.
Before you think about turning, would you do me a favor? Is that better? Jerry, before you start turning, would you do me a favor, a safety tip?
I'm not turning, but
Take your lanyard off.
my what?
Or your lanyard with your name on it, or
okay.
tuck it in.
Yeah.
You're making me nervous just watching you.
Oh, I'm not going to turn the lathe on. I should have said this is
Well,
perfectly safe.
I know, but it's still
Yeah.
a habit that it's making
I don't
me
wear
nervous.
the lanyard at home.
Another question.
Good point. Yeah.
How big of a piece of wood would you be willing to turn with just this glue on there?
Well, I do keep the live center in place when I'm doing the turning. Depends how to balance it is. That's kind of, everyone has to choose their own safety level. I've seen some of the stuff that Gene's worked on his lathe.
Well, that don't
Scares
count.
me crazy.
That don't count.
Right. But yeah, it depends on the size. You got some honking pieces of wood there, and well, one I don't. You know, your lathe size, you got to determine how much off center you can go on it. But so got to get this off of here. So on the pieces that I have on the the small glue blocks, with those you can do the same, apply the glue and let it sit a little bit. So I peeled off all the excess because it doesn't dissolve the glue, it just debonds it. So I'll put it on, let it set, tug on it. Yeah, this one's ready to come apart. Now that one, whoops, pulled out a little bit. On this is some of that desert willow I had brought in last time. But anyhow, it leaves a nice little ring of glue on here that you do the same thing that I did with this other little piece, and just once it gets started, it doesn't take much for it to continue to come off. Doesn't stain the wood at all. So anyhow, that piece was thinner than I thought. That's why it came apart. But I also use a painter's tool sometimes to help me if I've got a bigger piece, or if you have just a dull chisel, that works too, to help kind of get in and wedge things to get your initial glue started, or getting the alcohol behind the glue. And with this whole glue up setup, it becomes a kind of a reverse process that you can put the glue on and start working at breaking off the support pieces. And then once you get down to the burl cap itself, you can get the glue underneath, or the alcohol underneath, and just peel all that residue off. One final thing I have is for these burls. I say either try to get a burl cap that has no bark on it to begin with, or I'll remove the bark I can myself. But there's an inner layer to the bark that sticks, and so I use one of these. They call them spot blasters. You can get them at Harbor Freight, and they use baking soda. And so you can, when they want a high pressure, they use a lot of baking soda, and you can get it pretty cheap at Costco and other places in a 10-pound bag. But I run it through a little sifter first before putting it in the gun. But it helps remove that extra little layer of the inner bark. It also helps you show up all the little bits where the stringy glue was sticking.
Hey, Jerry, one
Yes.
quick question.
Yes.
When you make that burl mount, is that a one and done, or can you try to use that again on your next one if it's similar in shape?
All of these pieces up here, plus two more, were made on this. All I've done is redo the customizing. So so that's the technique. We can and this one would still work with that technique, but because it's got another flat side, I'd probably cut it at the angle across there and somehow support it down here. And how you actually turn it is all up to you. I just kind of got stuck in a rut with my little shallow dishes. for you, Phil. This is one of your honking pieces. It's actually pretty lightweight though for its size. For me, looking at this, it looks like this upper couple inches, there is no burl there. I'd be inclined to cut this down quite a ways to just discard that wood and work on the cap from there. That's one option.
Jerry,
Yes.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What you're showing us there looks like it's going to be very unbalanced on the lathe. So do you do anything to try to improve the balance for the turning, the actual turning of the piece?
Well, my goal was to, if I had bigger pieces than what I have here, I would have a larger, I don't know what to call this thing. This block that I'm glued to, I would have it much larger. So having, that cylinder plus the heavy chuck and jaws, that's going to be balanced in the center. It's only the wings that are sticking out that are going to offset it. So having the live center in there is going to help. And I think you're probably going to, I don't know if I'd ever try anything outboard this way. So your lathe is going to constrain you that way.
Thank you.
Even this piece I had to trim off a little bit though to fit on this lathe.
Jerry, I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
One, you're not going to leave the live center up the entire time. Do you find it stable enough to do the final turning, even though it's not quite balanced?
For my little dish shapes I do with a little bead around them, that works quite well because you don't need to spin it real fast, and it's a short amount of time to do that.
And my other question is, you held up Phil's piece, and
Yeah.
it looks like it has a lot of pointed areas off of the burl. How would you protect those if you're going to keep them?
Again, I'm not. This is just kind of sitting on there, so I scoop it out, whatever means I need, because as you're dry fitting this, putting it on there, you go, okay, I want to twist it this way, and oh, these spines are sticking out. Well, you have to make recesses in this block to accommodate that, and then all the glue goes in, filling up the majority of the gaps. So that's the fiddly part of it. And that's where a rotary burr would be nice instead of chisels and saw marks. But the one block's lasted a long time for the pieces I've done. I don't know if anyone else has used the alcohol trick with the hot melt glue, but we can, anyone wants to come up closer and see it instead of through the camera, we've got time for that. But that's kind of the gist of it. It's not real complicated. It's just a little fiddly, and I've had success using it. So,
All right. Any other questions for Jerry?
Wait, we have,
Got a couple here.
you have a question?
Are we going to see the pieces you've done?
well, they've been up here for people to look at. If you want to come up and look at this, you can too. It's not fully glued up, but it's kind of showing the showing the globbiness, and same with that first little piece on the glue block.
Hey, Jerry.
So what?
So how long do you let the hot melt glue before you start turning, just to be safe?
Well, when you're first applying it, when it's hot, it's clear. And so as it cools off, it gets opaque again. And I'll make certain that the whole glob is opaque, or in some cases they'll put it down in multiple layers, and you can feel it if it's, carefully touch it so you don't burn yourself. It's opaque, it's fairly cool, but if it's the least bit sticky, I'll let it set for 20 minutes or so at least.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any other questions for Jerry? Actually, during the break, which we're going to start here in just a minute, feel free to come up there and take a look at what he's done and the different blocks that he's using and the samples of ones that he's turned already. If there are no other questions, let's give Jerry a hand. Thank you.